Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending upon which time zone you're in. I am George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here for Weather Now, Kentucky, and we got a lot to talk about, as I'm sure you guys are aware. I'm going to give it about 60 to 90 seconds to allow everyone to dive in here and get settled in. We're live on both YouTube and Facebook right now, so if you do see me responding to a comment that you don't necessarily see, don't worry. It's probably on the other platform. Of course, as we're diving in, everyone's getting comfortable. If you wouldn't mind, tap the share button at the bottom portion of your screen there, as we have a lot of new information. I want to make sure everyone's getting the freshest stuff, so put it out onto your news feed so that way your friends and family can view it as well. Help us by spreading the correct information out there. So thank you guys a lot for that. Some crazy changes. I mean, man, this has been a tough forecast to nail down. When you see the National Weather Service shift an entire advisory area, you know that this is probably a really tough forecast. And to be quite frank with you, it has been a tough forecast. For those of you that have seen our updates already today and are sad that you might not be getting snow, nothing is set in stone yet. I want to make that very, very clear. When you're dealing with a deformation band, and I'll explain all of this and I'll break it down. I have a new probability map to show you. I'm going to show you fresh data. I'm going to show you the current radar, what's actually happening versus what the models are trying to tell us, and why we think some of the models are still a little bit off with the system, which is why I'm saying don't necessarily feel completely down if you're sad about some of the changes that have been made, because nothing is set in stone. Truly nothing is set in stone. So I just want to make that very clear as well. Of course, let's give it a little bit more time. Dylan, good afternoon on YouTube. Ashley, how are you doing on YouTube? Good morning to you. Lewis, anything for Louisville? We'll get into that here in just a moment. Hello from Monticello. Hello, Carol. Thank you guys for the shares on Facebook. Tony and Amanda, thank you for your help with that. If you guys didn't know, please tap the share button at the bottom portion of our screen. It helps us, but also it helps to get people the correct information that's out there. There's a lot of different things being spewed around. I want to make sure everyone's getting the correct information. And guys, it is quite frankly, once again, this is an evolving system, and I don't think anyone's really going to know 100% until about 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll explain why, and I'll explain why that time frame is pretty crucial. So give it just a few more seconds, let everyone get comfortable. I'm still seeing a lot of the numbers go up, so I want to make sure everyone gets all the information that wants it, of course. So thank you. We're at 17 shares. Hopefully we can get up to the 50 go. Our 50 is always the go. Hello from Oak Grove, Kentucky. Hello, Bonnie. How are you doing, Jessica? Good afternoon. How are you doing? Hello from Bardstown, Teresa. How are you doing out there? Thank you guys a lot. Make sure you guys are checking in as you come in as well, so I can say hi to you. Checking in to see if our county schools in Bowling Green will be out for a week again. I definitely don't think that's the case, Aaron, but thank you for tuning in. Debbie, Laura, Lori, Selena, Dana, thank you all and many more for all the shares. I appreciate seeing that go up. So I'm going to give it about 15 more seconds. I'm still seeing a lot of the numbers go up. I want to make sure, again, everyone gets the information. Yeah, tonight's pretty wild, and I'll explain where some people could see some thundersnow tonight. I know that's crazy to think about, but it's a real possibility tonight, and I'll explain where that might set up as well. So a lot of different things at play here. It's actually a marginal risk, or I'm sorry, not a marginal risk, but a level 1 out of 5 risk for thunderstorms as well. So it's an absolute wild day on tap here in Kentucky. Hello from E County, Anna. How are you doing? Joel, how's Hardin County looking? We'll break that down here in just a moment. Thank you for your patience. Shane says hello from Nicholasville. Hello, how are you doing? Hello from Taylorsville. Rose, how are you doing out there? Thank you guys again for all the shares. We're at 11 more until we get to 50, and then we'll get going. There's 400 people in here, so I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem. Mount Vernon, hello, how are you doing, Kathy? Christine, how are you doing? Sarah, we'll break that down for you in just a moment. Hello from E-Town. Shelly, how are you doing out there? Hello from Owen County. Paducah, Kim's representing there. I want to experience it. My husband did when he was in. So again, for those of you that are just not tuning in, there is a slight, we'll say very slight possibility, but it's there for some thundersnow tonight in some places. We'll break that down. If you've never seen thundersnow, it quite literally is one of the most magnificent things that Mother Nature can ever do. It's breathtaking. Howdy from the airport, Northern Kentucky. How are you doing out there? Okay, I think we're good there. Thank you guys for all the shares and all the likes and everything. And on YouTube, hello out there to you. Ashley says I think it would be cool to see thundersnow. I've only ever heard about it, never experienced. I've only seen it one time in my life. And that was back in 2016 here in Radcliffe, Kentucky. Maria, how are you doing out there? Okay, so Let's get this stuff rolling. We have a lot to talk about. Once again, if you're just now tuning in, I am George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here for WNK. We're dealing with a super dynamic event here. We're actually going to have 3 low pressures come together, which is why this has been changing so much. Guys, and I was very honest with you from the jump of this. This is a super evolving system, quite frankly. A sure answer of what to expect likely won't arrive until about 4 p.m. Eastern time. The reason for that is about the same time as when some of the low pressures should start to come together, and that is when we'll be able to see kind of the ejection of that low pressure. And that right there, what I just said, is the most important part to this event tonight. When that low pressure starts to eject off to the east-northeast, when it pivots, that's where the deformation band will start to set up. And that's where some really heavy snow will come down. We'll tell you that yesterday, models were showing 48 inches of snow just west of Lexington into Shelby County. That is absolutely not the case, but that's the kind of event that we're setting up here with. Just a super absolutely loaded with a lot of moisture. Cold air is kind of a question, but I will tell you how that can be answered. So let's go ahead and dive into our data here. Let's start first with the radar that we're looking at here via the WSV3. I want to show you, just kind of zoom out real quick, what we're dealing with here. We got strong to severe weather down here to the south in Georgia, going up to the Carolinas. And then we have a snowpack starting to go up here that absolutely dumps snow on Oklahoma, dumps snow in Missouri. Now, what's going to occur here is actually a low pressure is starting to develop down here. If I throw on this MSLP, you can see it looks kind of wild, doesn't it? There's not really a low pressure there just yet, but it's starting to develop somewhere out here toward the not Louisiana people area, but Arkansas area and Mississippi, and it will ride up toward Tennessee. Exactly how far north that low pressure comes before it ejects northeast is I'm not kidding. It's the $1 million question. Quite frankly, that has changed so much over the last 36 hours that I've had to take probably 3 doses of Excedrin by now, because that has been just, every time I go to make a map and go to make a forecast for you guys, the next model run changes it. So that's why we haven't really put out a snowfall map yet. I do have a map prepared for you to show on this live video. So make sure you're staying patient for that. I want to get through all the information first. So that's what the current radar is looking like. Actually, turn that back on for just a second, if I can get it to go correctly. We'll just put it on the base for now. So again, this will actually ride east toward the western Kentucky portion of the area. It will actually dive a little bit in more toward Tennessee, and that's where the low pressure gets developed. It'll bring up moisture from the southeast here, and then at some way, it will make its way over to the Appalachian Mountains. How it makes its way over there, once again, is the most crucial element to this system. If it comes a little bit more up toward Tennessee and Kentucky, like models yesterday were showing, we're looking at not kidding. Now, not all this is going to stick, but you're looking at about a foot of snowfall if that were the case. Now, again, most of that's going to melt, but a foot of snowfall is a foot of snowfall, and that would be over the Ohio River areas and then down into western and central portions of Kentucky. If that low pressure dives and doesn't really come up, it goes up to about, let's say, just south of Nashville and goes out to the Appalachian Mountains, then you're looking at a decent snowfall for south central and eastern Kentucky. If that low pressure never really develops out here to the southern portion of Tennessee, and then just kind of rides its way out to the east here, never even comes close to Kentucky, then you're really only looking at a snowfall for the southeastern portion of Kentucky, and it would be super light. So the more south of the low pressure means the stronger it is. The stronger it is actually means less snow on the backside. So if you're a snow lover, what you're rooting for is a much weaker low pressure than what's projected. And you're also looking for it to take its time and really develop slowly. Now, we'll say it has stalled a little bit out here in Missouri and Arkansas. And Mike and Neil and I and Cherie and everyone else have been watching this stall out here. And we're trying to decide on whether, or trying to dictate what exactly that means. So let's go ahead and look at our current temperatures real quickly. And then we're going to look at model data. And then I do have a map ready for you guys. I want to show you, it's not looking like snowfall weather in Kentucky. Now, what it's going to take tonight is something called dynamic cooling to occur, and that absolutely will occur. Dynamic cooling will occur inside of a deformation band tonight. The question is, and that's not an argument, that will happen. If you don't know what dynamic cooling is, basically what it is in very layman's terms, there's a much more scientific explanation out there, but I'm not going to get into all the big fancy science words that are there for absolutely no reason. when I can just tell you that basically what it means is that the rain's coming down so hard, it actually opens up a little bit of a layer in the atmosphere for the extremely cold air above our heads to come down to the ground and quickly cool the surface, basically coming to the term of dynamic cooling because of how fast it happens. You can actually drop about 20 to 30 degrees within an hour. It's extremely fast. So I know I saw a lot of comments over the last 24 hours talking about my weather app shows that it's going to be 55 or 60 degrees or whatever. How in the world can you predict the snow? Well, weather apps don't really look at the science. It's all just a computer that puts it out automatically. They don't really look at the science of things. Dynamic cooling will occur somewhere within a deformation band tonight, and we'll just have to figure out where exactly that sets up. And again, that likely will, everything up until now is about a best guess, or everything up until about 4 p.m. really Eastern time is about a best guess on where that's going to set up, because quite frankly, to be honest with you, and even the National Weather Service has said this in their latest update and the update yesterday, you're not going to know where a deformation is until about 2 to 3 hours before it happens. Just because there's so many minute details that go into it, models can't pick it up. They can't. They try their best because they have algorithms that tell them to try and pick it up, but quite frankly, they just can't. And I do see all of your comments and questions. But I'm going to get to those more toward the end of the video. Let's get through all the information first. So currently, it's mid 40s to upper 40s, even some lower 50s showing up in some places. I will say we're running a smidge cooler than projected today. I don't think that makes a massive difference on what to expect for tonight. But just a quick note, we are running about 2 to 3 degrees colder than what models indicated. I will tell you that some places down in South Central Kentucky are running a bit warmer than models indicated. But again, I don't think that makes a massive difference tonight because we're talking about dynamic cooling as a whole. We're not talking about cold air being in place. We don't need as much cold air in place with an event like this tonight, just because you're talking about dynamic cooling as a possibility. So let's go into some model data here. And what I'm actually going to start with, I have it set up that way good. What I'm actually going to start with is showing you what the models displayed yesterday, because I know a lot of people woke up this morning and were upset at some of the changes that were made. And there were a lot of comments being made that we did it for likes and clicks. What I want to point out to you, number one, we don't make money off your likes and clicks. I don't post website links. I don't take you to a website where I can spew you with ads. Our brand deals are already in place without today's likes and clicks or yesterday's likes and clicks or whatever it might be. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, if it's one or two forecast companies within an area or forecast organizations within an area that's displaying something egregious and then quickly changes to what everyone else is saying, then you have a point. When the entire forecast organizations in the entire area, along with the National Weather Service, post one forecast yesterday, and we were all in good agreement. Us, even Wave, up in Louisville, even WKYT, even though I'm not the biggest fans of them, but we were all in great agreement yesterday. And the National Weather Service even put their advisories in the same areas that we put our greatest impact zones. Everyone shifted that southeast today. So I want to put it out there that it's not for likes and clicks or money or whatever some people thought it was. The conspiracy theorists went crazy this morning. It wasn't for that. It was because the entire dynamic of the system changed because the track of the low pressure changed. And I want to display that to you real quickly, and then we'll look at today's data. I just wanted to put that out there because I saw a lot of people commenting that this morning, and that gets to me because I work really hard. And I'm not going to sit there. We don't post website links for you guys to go click like some people do. We don't post app links for you guys to go download like some people do that make money off of those things. We just straight up post on social media, right? And our brand deals are already in place. We don't necessarily need the clicks and stuff. Our goal is to always put out accurate information and update you as we go. When you're dealing with a dynamic system with 3 separate low pressures, it's obviously going to change as we head a little bit closer. Now, I will tell you that this much of a change I did not see coming. All right. And what I want to show you is yesterday's model data, just kind of show you what we were looking at and what we based our forecast off of. So this is the HRRR model. It's the premier model of the entire group that we can select from. And I'm going to switch over to the display tab here, and I'm going to show you. Okay, my display's not coming up. Okay, there's the camera. There was a display there. What in the world? Switch to that monitor real quick, and then we'll switch to this monitor. Maybe it'll show up. Look at that. You got to love technology sometimes. But what I want to show you here is we have several different models to choose from thanks to the pivotal weather. Okay? On every single one of these models, it showed a decent measurable snowfall yesterday for that chunk of Kentucky that we forecasted for, northwestern by the Ohio River and north central Kentucky, as well as eastern Kentucky. Now, every single one of those models today has shifted a little bit southeast, okay? I just wanted to show you that real quickly because I want to show you there's several models to choose from, but every single one of them had one idea yesterday, and because the low pressure did shift a little bit overnight, they're now showing a different idea. And I could go through them one by one and show you all, but I don't think that's really needed. Let's just go with the premier model that everyone chooses from because it's the best. ARRR model here. Yesterday showed the low pressure. What I want you to look at is that low pressure down there in Arkansas that's actually going to, or not Arkansas, I'm sorry, Mississippi, it's actually going to ride more north. Now, if you notice, it says when it enters Tennessee that it's at about 1,002, 1,001 millibars. I want you to remember that number. Because when I push it through forward to Kentucky, and as it exits Kentucky, and I'll go back, it's at 992 millibar. So it's strengthened by about 10 to 12 millibars. That tells us right there, that screams deformation band on the northwest side of the low pressure. The reason for that, the low pressure is strengthening, and it's pivoting to more of a east-northeast flow instead of a northeast flow. That tells us that the low pressure is turning, and as it's turning, it's strengthening. And when that occurs, you get these stretching bands of precipitation that fall really, and I'm talking really, really hard. We're talking 3 to 4 inch snowfall rates, 3 to 4 inches per hour on the snowfall rates on the backside of the low pressure. And that's why we were forecasting, as you can see for yourselves right there, the northwestern portion of Kentucky as the target zone. That's no longer the target zone. And the reason for that, as I come in here toward the brand new model run that's coming in as we're talking, as you can see, it's not really full on the left side yet. Look at the difference in the low pressure. So it actually is starting in Middle Tennessee. Remember, on the old low pressure, on the old model run, it was all the way out in Western Tennessee, and it was only about 1,002 millibars. Well, now it's going into Tennessee as a stronger low pressure at 996, and it's in the middle of Tennessee. This will actually cut off Western Kentucky. As you can see, look at the sharp cutoff on the precipitation here. It'll actually cut off on the backside because it's stronger and faster moving and more to the east. There's not as much precipitation with it. Okay, what you're rooting for, if you're a snow lover, is a weaker low pressure. Also to note with you real quickly, is it exits Kentucky at 992, so it'll only strengthen by about 3 or 4 millibars. That's not enough to really cause a big deformation, man. As you can see, it's a lot smaller. It's a lot more concise. There's a lot less precipitation with it, and it's completely shifted to the east. All right, and what I want to show you real quickly is actually the GFS model from a couple of days ago, and it actually had this system all the way in Indiana. So what I want you to note is that over the last 48 hours, this system has gone from the Indianapolis area to all the way down in Tennessee. Okay, that is a shift of about 500 miles, to give or take a little bit. That is astronomical, and that is why you've seen so many people pivot their forecast and change their forecast, because the models were all showing one thing and have all little by little shifted over 500 miles to the south within a 48-hour period. There is no way any forecaster, meteorologist, or National Weather Service provider saw that coming. Not us, not anyone, because it rarely ever happens. Now, do we get some minute shifting? Absolutely. You can shift up to about 50 to 100 miles within a 48-hour period, but when you're talking about 500 miles, that is astronomical. So again, there's the GFS from a couple of days ago, right? And then here's the ARRR model now. As you can see, there's not even rain in Indiana. There's barely any rain in northern Kentucky. That is how far this has shifted. So, again, you're talking about an extremely dynamic system. Can this shift back? Absolutely. It all depends on how this low pressure ejects out from this area. Now, I will tell you it's already a little bit more east. So this is actually right now. And I would tell you it's already a little bit more east. Remember, back on the old run of the ARRR, it was all the way back out here toward the Arkansas, Mississippi, kind of around the Memphis, Tennessee area. And then it came up toward Middle Tennessee, and then it just scooted on over to the Appalachian Mountains, and then up to Appalachian Mountains, which creates quite literally the perfect storm in Kentucky. For now, it's a much more east. It's much more strong. That means less precipitation on the northwest side, which means overall snowfall totals go down. Okay. And once again, You can see the model for yourself. It's showing snowfall. I want to tell you real quickly. You can look at the temperatures that are projected as well. You see it going up to the mid 40s, and as that front comes in, it drops really fast, really fast. And in those spots we saw the snowfall occur, you can see for yourself, it's down to 34, 32 degrees. Remember, this area just a little bit ago was 50 degrees, right? So you see the dynamic cooling happening in front of your eyes. I also want to note real quickly to you, and then we're going to show our forecast map. I also want to note real quickly to you, so if we go back over here, we see that the rain to snow transition happens around the 9 to 10 hour mark. If I go down here and I hit the lightning flash density map, and we go to the 9 to 10 hour mark, that's lightning showing up in the middle of the transition. When this happens, this can absolutely lead to Thundersnow in Kentucky for that area. And that is basically from, I can actually zoom in on this a little bit for you. That is actually from, why are the nameplates not showing up? Well, I was trying to show you just so you can have a little bit of a better visual. But it's actually from about Campbellsville to Lexington, just to the south of Lexington. And then back down toward, deep down in south central Kentucky. So it's not an impressive amount of lightning, just to show you real quickly. There's stronger lightning right before that. This is more of an impressive amount, okay? But it's not an impressive amount of lightning, but it's there. Lightning means thunders in the area. Thunder means thunder snow. It might be possible. I'm not going to sit there and guarantee it as a forecast, but it might be possible because, again, that transition happens between the 9 to 10 hour mark. You can see it for yourself. So this is actually incredibly hard rainfall. If this was just rain on a radar, this is how strong it would be coming down. So I want to show you that almost maxes out the graph down here. So it's extremely hard rainfall. That tells us dynamic cooling will occur. But look at how sharp the cutoff is. So we go from extremely hard rainfall to almost nothing within one county, right? So that's why this forecast has been super difficult to make. And I made the post this morning, or I'm sorry, last night, that it's one of the trickier forecasts I've ever had to do because we're dealing with 3 low pressures. You're dealing with a deformation band on the backside as those low pressures collide. You're dealing with a lack of cold air, but a cold air supply will come in thanks to dynamic cooling, which is almost impossible to figure out where exactly that's going to set up. So it has truly been one of the trickiest forecasts. And on top of all that, look how sharp the cutoff is on the western side of all this all this precipitation. It truly is one of the more difficult forecasts. And also just want to point out to you, look, we go from all plain rain. 2 hours later, that's extremely heavy snowfall. Those massive flakes. Right. So right now, models do indicate that changeover happens east of I-65, whereas yesterday, once again, it happened around the Ohio River up here in northwestern Kentucky and then spread east. So that's another one of the big changes there. Here's our forecast. We don't have a snowfall map accumulation out just yet, just because, once again, when you're dealing with this type of system, we're not really going to know until about 4 p.m. We're going to try and make a forecast around 2:30 when the new sets of HRRR and RAP models come in. We're also going to look at, until then, we're going to look at what's actually happening versus projected, compare that, and try to base a forecast off of that. If I were to make a snowfall accumulation map right now, it would be a dart. It would be a dart to a dartboard from 100 feet back. Truly. I do see some companies making snowfall maps, and quite frankly, it's irresponsible just because they've already had to change it so much within a 24-hour period that I think a probability map is the best way to go for now until about a few hours from now. So the greatest threat is absolutely at this moment from Campbellsville to Danville to Moorhead. Can this shift? Absolutely it can. It can go more south. It can come back up more to the north. We'll just have to see again how that low pressure is tracking. There is a low threat of snowfall that I've left in the areas for Paducah to Hopkinsville to Bowling Green, Litchfield, and E-Town. I could include Bowling Green in the threat category, but that you're really pulling hairs at that point. The reason I left the low threat there for that area is because, once again, if it does shift back up north, we want to have some coverage there. And just a regular threat, kind of like a medium threat for Somerset to Harlan to Pikeville, Ashland, Lexington, in areas around those places. So that is our current probability of seeing 2 inches plus of snow. Again, a lot of snowfall will occur. I want to show you real quickly. I'll go ahead and show you. I'm going to pull it back to the 12Z, though. A lot of snowfall will occur. You can see for yourself, it's actually showing 19 inches of snowfall just to the north of Somerset. Now, again, about 70% of that is going to melt, right? So we gotta keep that in mind. there. But I want to show you that there's a ton of snowfall in the system, guys. You're actually going to see a lot of snow fall from the sky if you get in those nice pockets of deformation bands. But again, a lot of it's going to melt. So that's why we only have about 2 inches as our probability for now for a lot of places. Now, we will make a snowfall map that gets a lot more specific as we get a little bit closer. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. As you guys can see, it's a super dynamic system. It actually took me 25 minutes to break down. And that could have gone longer than that. I try to keep it real simple and basic for everyone. I do want to do a quick little business moment here. As you guys know, we do have brand partnerships. I want to make sure I'm taking care of them, and then I'll answer a lot of your questions. I know you guys have a lot of questions for us. But if you wouldn't mind, sit through our messages real quick. It only takes about a minute. Right Implement has a ton of deals going on mowers right now. Make sure you get them before the spring actually arrives. Actually, my grass, because of the last week and a half of 60 degrees, is already sprouting a little bit. So make sure you're taking advantage of all these deals at any one of Right Implement's 15 locations. Super, super nice people out there. You really cannot go wrong shopping at Right Implement. Truly, truly. Then we got Box Drop Bar Sound. There, you actually get a free pillow with the purchase of a mattress. And by the way, high quality mattresses are already marked 30 to 80% off at Box Drop Barstown. They have a lot of adjustable bases as well. Shop local. Get your free pillow when you mention W&K after a purchase of a mattress. Shout out to Shamika, who's already got her free pillow after her purchase, supporting a W&K partner. Thank you so much. And then finally, Romp Festival returns June 26th to June 29th, 2024 at Yellow Creek Park in Owensboro, Kentucky. They have a massive headline of artists there. Dierks Bentley, Molly Tuttle, so many more. The greatest thing about Romp Fest is that they have fun for both adults and kids. So your kids aren't going to be left out. Adults aren't going to be left out. Go have some fun at a cheap price in a classic Kentucky event and support the Romp Fest. Just amazing people out there. I love working with them. So that's a message from our sponsors. Thank you guys so much for listening to those. And thank you for taking advantage of the deals as well. I'm going to go ahead and get to some of the questions now. Oh, I see a lot of hearts coming across the screen. Thank you guys a lot for that. Let's go ahead and check what we got going on YouTube. We know the ones that post for clicks, that's not you. Jennifer, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. I just saw a lot of comments this morning about that, and it would be one thing if I were to post a lot of links to websites or links to apps for you guys to download or whatever it might be, but I don't. So I don't know how I'm getting paid for clicks and likes when that's not the case. Our brand deals are already in place. Usually I skip over them, but it made me a little upset this morning just because, we work really hard. Not just me, Mike, Neil, Cherie, Bo, the other Mike, and then soon Ivy will be part of that team as well. I need to do that. I keep forgetting because I get getting so busy. But we work really hard, and for a lot of people to say that this morning was difficult because it's not like it's anything we could control. I just showed you guys for yourself. The number one model in the entire world shifted by over 200 miles overnight. You can't really control that. Vanessa, thank you for your 50 stars. I appreciate your generosity out there. Thank you so much for your 50 stars. I appreciate that. Kristen sent 15 stars earlier. Thank you so much for that, Kristen, as well. How about Owensboro? Once again, I'll go ahead and pull the forecast back up. I'm not going to get into super fine details on specific locations right now, guys, because once again, I do expect this to change again. I'll leave our forecast up for now, though. Once again, I do expect this to change over the next 3 to 4 hours. By the way, the transition to snow is definitely after sunset tonight. We'll see some rain move in this afternoon here in a few hours, although right now it is beautiful outside. You wouldn't think anything is coming tonight. But we do expect rain showers tonight. Those will transition to snow sometime in the late night time frame and then go on until about Tuesday morning. Temperatures will dip to below freezing for almost everyone throughout the overnight hours going into Tuesday morning. But then a quick warm-up comes Tuesday afternoon before another crash just after Valentine's Day. So it's crazy. It's a crazy time frame in Kentucky. What do you expect to change back north or further south? Quite frankly, Tommy, there's no telling right now. The trend has been for the last 24 hours to keep pushing the system southeast and southeast and southeast and southeast. As I showed you guys, the models 24 hours ago were showing the heaviest band along the Ohio River just south into Kentucky. 24 hours before that, so 48 hours ago, actually showing the heaviest band all the way up toward Indianapolis. So the heaviest band of snowfall has shifted all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana, to about Danville, Kentucky. which is about 500 to 700 miles. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up, but that's just kind of a guess off the top of my head, within a 48-hour period. So to try and project where the shifting is going to go beyond here would be irresponsible. Possibility of more snow after Valentine's Day. We'll just have to see, Sarah. These patterns have been so tricky for Kentucky. If I were to show you snow lovers a snow map of what's occurred so far and showing you just how close we've gotten several times this year or this winter without actually getting a big snowfall. I know we did back in mid-January, but that was a crazy event. That was one for the history books, not because it was a major snowfall, but because it was such a unique system. It really is probably once in about every 3 to 4 year system. It was really something crazy. But I'll have to post one day and show all the snow lovers of Kentucky just how close we've gotten several times. So trying to project snowfall beyond this is going to be difficult because you're dealing with more warmer temperatures. You're also dealing with more cold fronts and cold shots coming in as well, but they're a lot smaller. So trying to project snowfall beyond this would probably be pretty irresponsible. I just spilled water on my shirt. That's how my morning's going. Kendra, I do think there will be some slick roadways at that time frame. Because once again, I know the roadways are the surface temperatures are a lot warmer. I think the road temperatures, last time I checked, were right around 50 degrees. And of course, our surface temperatures are right around 50 degrees as well. But when snow is falling as hard as models are projecting it to fall tonight, it can overcome those warmer temperatures. Kind of like this, guys. If you were to put 1 or 2 ice cubes in let's say a room temperature, let's say you have a glass of water in this room temperature, okay? If you were to put 1 to 2 ice cubes in there, those 1 to 2 ice cubes will melt really fast, right? But if you were to dump, let's say 20 to 30 ice cubes in that cup of water, it would take a lot longer to melt despite that glass of water being room temperature, right? Same thing with outside tonight. If the snow is coming down hard enough, which some models are projecting 2 to 3 inch per hour rates. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get 2 to 3 inches on the ground per hour, but it's just the rate of which it's falling. Then it can overcome the surface and road temperatures. Okay. Yeah, Tara, I mean, it's just an ever-evolving system, so it just depends on how many times a forecasting service is updating their maps and stuff. Now, again, this is just a very general map. I'm hoping to make a more specific map right around 3 p.m. Eastern time. Deborah, thank you very much. Rose, thank you for the share. Tony, thank you for coming to follow on Facebook. I think we're good, though. We're at the 30-minute mark. I've answered a lot of questions. I'm not going to get into specific locations at this moment, just because, once again, I do expect this to change quite a bit. Oh, I know. Jennifer, I personally, before I hop off here, I personally was disappointed to see the changes this morning. I'm in Radcliffe, and just it feels like every event here in Hardin County lately just keeps going right around us. I mean, we've had good snowfalls in Louisville this year. We've had good snowfalls to the south this year. There's even been a decent snowfall in Owensboro this year. Even in Grayson County and Bardstown and Nelson County and those places right there. And here in Hardin County, just feels like, I know we're not getting skipped. It's just the way the systems are made. But, man, when I saw the models yesterday, I got really excited. Although I waited. So, actually, Mike texted me about it about 36 hours ago. And I said, let's wait about 12 more hours before we even start to talk about this. All right? Because I just, after going through it the last 4 or 5 years, I just know that, we should wait. And sure enough, it shifted big time. Chris, I figured it's definitely not for sure because, again, this system can continue to shift. I know that, once again, the temperatures right now don't look ideal for snowfall, but we're talking about a dynamic cooling event tonight where basically temperatures will crash about 20 degrees or about 15 to 20 degrees within an hour period, and snowfall rates that are high enough to overcome the surface temperatures. So, again, not a for sure thing because the system can shift, but it is for sure that dynamic cooling will occur. It's just a matter of where we're going to see that occur at, and that's what we need to determine over the next 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, John, you just must not be hearing anything I'm saying, my man. I'm just going to go ahead and suspend you for about 15 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I just broke that down and people just ignore it. Chris, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. I think we're good to go here. We're starting to get more of the trolls in, and I'm just not in the mood today, or else everyone's getting banned, and I don't feel like doing that. So thank you guys again a lot for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys choosing W&K for your forecast options. Of course, absolutely always try and people aren't listening to you. Yeah, I mean, I answer Chris. What's funny is I answer your question, which is exactly what that guy was referring to, and he just decided, hey, my Eagles better than yours. That's what he decided. So anyway, we're out of here. Thank you guys a ton for hanging out with us. Thank you for choosing W&K. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here for Weather Now Kentucky. Until next time, stay safe, Kentucky.